All right, everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing my breakdown of the showdown slate between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I wish they could play circus music in the background because the showdown slate for me is probably going to be somewhat of a circus. Last week, when we talked, last showdown slate, I discussed the Dallas-Philadelphia game. There wasn't a lot of cheapos that I was going to get too much of. And this week, this game is probably kind of a circus because probably my highest owned guy, one of the highest owned guys is going to be 400. And it's certainly not going to be particularly earth-shattering, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. First of all, kind of the overall game look. For me, I think it's going to be a lot of points. Jacksonville plays pretty fast. You have a matchup between two, first and second year quarterbacks. They're both going to be showing out. I think they're going to let them roll a little bit. And I do think it's going to be a lot of points. So I want to take a lot of offensive players. I don't think this is the slate to be playing the defenses. So let me just kind of highlight who I like. I certainly feel as though the best plays on the slate are going to be the Cincinnati guys, and Cincinnati's favored. They have the highest implied total, so the majority of the fantasy points I do believe are going to come from Cincinnati, and a lot of my builds are probably going to have multiple Cincinnati guys. I guess you got to start with Joe Burrow, right? Certainly makes a lot of sense. But the question is what type of receivers do you pair with him? You have T. Higgins who's out, and your main receiver is going to be Tyler Boyd, obviously you play that, but the key is going to be that third receiver. And from what I can gather, at least where I'm playing, is that Auden Tate is probably for me going to be the next option, and he's 400. So what are you doing? He only had the one target, whatever in his last game, but and even if you look at the game log, it says even with T. Higgins out, he barely factored into the offense. They're saying Mike Thomas is much of a factor. But this is going to be a lot more passing than their last game. I think Auden Tate is certainly going to be a big part of this. And between him and the aforementioned Mike Thomas, that's where you're going to get your juice, because you have Auden Tate at 400, and then you have Mike Thomas at, where did he go? Well, where did he go? Because it's all the way down there. You have Mike Thomas at 600. So these are the guys that you're going to want to play. And if you play them, you could basically play whoever else you want in your lineup. So you can play your Joe Burrows, your Tyler Boyd, your, your other guys. Now, again, I left out one other receiver, and that would be Jamar Chase. Okay, and he's obviously in play as well. But the main play, I would think, either Boyd or Chase, but one of these two receivers, if not both, I think should be included in showdown lineups. They're just way too cheap. And if one of them just happens to go off on a touchdown somewhere, you're just gonna win if you have him. So I would definitely, showdown slate, play one of these guys between Auden Tate and Mike Thomas. That would be my opinion, my recommendation. And when I run my builds, that's probably what I'm going to end up with. I might even get some of both of them in the captain. Just the way it's going to be. So that's really much the key to the Cincinnati side. Now, running, sure, Joe Mixon, very, very strong play, and certainly going to have a bunch of it. Another thing you could do, another guy that's showing up in my circus builds, is to play Samaje Perine. So he's only 800. But this is what's going to happen, though. You get like one like one reception, then you're going to project. And, look, a lot of things can happen, man. like they could have to throw, and they might use him out of the backfield. They might, Mixon could get hurt. The game could be a blowout. Anything could get Perine in there at 800. And again, on a slate like this, I think you want one of these guys. So if you don't want to play Auden Tate. You don't want to play Mike Thomas, which I think is a bad idea. I think you do want to play one of them. Samaje Perine is also a good, mad scientist circus type play. And then finishing out Cincinnati, I do like the kicker, Evan McPherson, 3,800. And I'm not going to be getting to the defenses today. I just think there's going to be too many points on the board. I left out tight ends, CJ Azuma. Just not going to get there for me. There's another running back, by the way, who's projecting for me. So, I mean, it's not projecting much, but whoever Chris Evans is. Because he had 2 receptions. 2 receptions, 2 targets, so he's going to project. Yeah, sure. You want to throw in a Chris Evans lineup? That's fine. Either him or Perine. I don't know. Sure. I'm sure that if I run an MME build, he's going to show up in some sims, so he's probably going to show up a little bit. I do think that today is like a circus type atmosphere for your showdown slates, and something like that is going to win. On the other side, Jacksonville seems nice and easy, right? You want to play Trevor Lawrence, so makes sense as the quarterback. And then your 2 receivers, or your main receivers, seem to be pretty clear, either DJ Shark or Chenault. At least those are the guys who, or Marvin Jones, sorry. And those are the guys who project for me, and they're certainly fine. I don't think either of them are particularly great value, but if you're going to play Trevor Lawrence, yeah, may as well try to play one of them. I don't know if you want to play 2, but you can, as I mentioned. If you play Auden Tate or Mike Thomas, you can do whatever you want. So, yeah, if you want to play Lawrence with Jones and Shark, or Jones and Chenault, or 2 of those 3s, go for it. James Robinson. Again, I don't know if this is particularly the game environment for him. I think they're going to, number one, it's going to be a lot of points, kind of a shootout. I think they're going to be coming from behind. So, yeah, he's certainly going to project great, and I'm going to, probably get to some of them. But I think that if you're going to take a shot, maybe James Robinson wouldn't be, the one I would prioritize. As a matter of fact, I mean, just as a matter of record, in my initial builds, I'm getting a lot of gulp Carlos Hyde. So take that for what it's worth. He had I think he had a good game. Did he have a touchdown this last game? No, but he did have 8 rushes. And if you're getting 8 rushes and you're 1,800, that might not be the worst idea in the world. So I think Carlos Hyde is definitely in play here. As a matter of fact, my initial builds, I had to force myself off of getting too much of him. So again, what you want to do is be very creative with your showdown lineups. And the cool thing about being creative today is that you actually have a shot. I mean, all these guys that I mentioned who are just kind of look like weird plays, they all can actually do it. And as opposed to some weeks where it looks like you're forcing stuff in just for uniqueness sake, here you can do all kinds of things to be unique, in addition to leaving multi-thousands on the table if that's what you want. Like take, for example, let's just say that Auden Tate has like a tremendous game. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you put, say, Auden Tate in, let's not even put him in the captain. Let's put him in the, let's put Auden Tate in the captain, which certainly could work, right? So Auden Tate in the captain, and then you play, even you get silly, just play, not even silly, you play Joe Burrow, which you probably want to do. And then let's say you wanted to play the other Cincinnati guy, like Mike Thomas. Now, if you did that, then you can play Lawrence. You could play, actually, maybe you're not going to leave those that much on the table, but you could play Lawrence, Jones, and, well, you can even go back to Boyd. You know what I mean? Like, not to say you have to play this way, but like this lineup, I mean, could win, right? Even if you don't need Mike Thomas, let's just say you want to be a little less fancy, and you want to play Tate and Boyd. and let's say even wanted to play like James Robinson or something like that, you can leave 2,000 on the table, and that'll make you unique, you know. So I feel as though that there's, as a matter of fact, I gotta do some of this, right? That's a pretty good line. I probably have this one already. Let me put this here. Put this in the 2-point conversion. Wait, I put this in the 2-point conversion. Actually, I probably shouldn't show you exactly what I'm doing, right? Well, I'm going to change all these later anyway. All right, so that's pretty much all I got. I'm going to rerun all this later, but that's the idea. I think that you don't want to play the defenses. Yeah, you can play the kickers if you want. I don't even have a projection yet for the kicker for Jackson. I don't even know who's playing, who it's going to be. So we'll talk about that later. And that's about it. Good luck, everybody, in the Showdown circus.